Good evening, and welcome to the 2022 Hall of Distinction Awards ceremony, sponsored by the North Canton Alumni Association. My name is Jim Strauch, and I thank each of you for spending this special evening with us. Tonight, we will be honoring the class of 2022. Welcome to these inductees and their families and friends. At this time, please welcome the Hoover High-Lows under the direction of Mr. Doug Beery.
Good evening. Will you please join us in standing for our national anthem and for the Hoover High School alma mater. Oh, say can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets' red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave? For strong bands can ne'er be broken, formed at Hoover High. For surpassing wealth unspoken, sealed by friendship's trenches high. Alma mater, deep graven on each heart, shall be found unwavering true when we from life shall part.
Thank you, High-Lows and Mr. Beery. I have a few comments and recognitions before we get to this evening's main program. As is explained in your program, the North Canton Alumni Association has hosted this event since 1990. We take great pride in arranging for an evening that celebrates the best of the best in North Canton. Right now, our active group consists of a handful of people, and we invite all who call North Canton their alma mater to join our association. Please see me after the ceremony if you are interested. At this time, I would like to recognize some of the individuals who made this evening possible. We have students from Ms. Sturtzbaugh's speech class who will be reading our inductees' biography: Olivia Padone, Gabby Michaelides, Ava Wadley, Joelle Morgan, and Emma Curd. Kathy Wida, who organized our ceremony and reception, the selection committee, which consisted of Jeff Wendorf, Michael Howard, Darcy Friel, Lisa Hade, Jim Hull, Sarah Berry, Susie Packmeyer, and Brian Nutt. Gretchen Leckie-Ewing, who wrote the biographies of the inductees, which will be read this evening. Joyce Greek for compiling tonight's printed program. Thank you all for making this night possible. Each year, we are blessed to have many previous Hall of Distinction inductees return for this event. I would like to recognize each of those in attendance tonight, as well as family members who represent our deceased inductees. Would our previous inductees please stand? Thank you. Now it is my pleasure to introduce the Superintendent of North Canton City Schools, Mr. Jeff Wendorf. Mr. Wendorf will serve as our Master of Ceremonies and induct the new members into our Hall of Distinction.
Good evening. What a beautiful night to be out in the nice Ohio weather. A little bit of rain, but not quite as much as we're getting south, right? So we're glad we're here, but we certainly think about and pray for our friends that have property, and certainly those that are still in Florida and facing some tough times. So we appreciate Ohio weather today, we'll say, right? It's a pleasure to have you here tonight. Certainly a pleasure and honor to be able to share tonight to our inductees and welcome back our prior inductees to the Wall of Distinction, and to get folks going on the program. I'm not going to talk too long, and just wanted to share welcome to Hoover High School, welcome to the district, and we certainly appreciate our alumni. We certainly appreciate our young kids being able to participate in this, and most of them, I believe, are upperclassmen for sure, if not all seniors, so they'll soon be alumni, and certainly the Alumni Association reaching out to our recent folks who graduate to form those relationships to join you as alumni. First off tonight, Olivia Padone will introduce Martha Strauch Bell. We have three of our folks who are reading that were in the high-lows. So we might change the order a little bit, if that's okay. Gabby, are you okay to go? Okay, all right. We'll do the Logan family and Gabby Michaelides.
Inspired to pay forward, the Logan Family Foundation was founded in 2004. Since its inception, the foundation has hosted charitable events, often with notable honorary chairs, to raise money for dozens of deserving charities. To date, the foundation has awarded almost $1 million. The foundation was inspired by the life lessons of the board parents, Dick and Gloria Logan. The family has been blessed with sports and life success and is determined to pay forward to the families and children in the communities where they live. Dick played football for the Ohio State University. Woody Hayes became his coach his senior year, and for the Green Bay Packers. In 1975, he invested in a sporting goods store in North Canton in order to free up his time to watch son Jeff play football at Ohio State. Gloria, a former Hall of Distinction inductee, worked at the store as well. Dick passed away in November 2016, just hours after watching a Buckeye victory over that team up north, and Gloria continues to support the foundation, providing feedback and ideas. Gloria remains a great source of inspiration to the family. The foundation's board is made up of Dick and Gloria's adult children. Jeff Logan, a successful Buckeye himself, currently lives in Delaware, Ohio. Whit Logan, an outstanding high school athlete and successful businessman in Upper Arlington. Andy Logan, a Kent State football player and current proprietor of Logan Sporting Goods. Amy Logan Walther, who is considered the MVP of the family, and Jill Logan, the widow of the four-time Olympian and former Hall of Fame of Distinction inductee, Judd Logan. Each of them recognizes the lessons of their parents. Additionally, there are 11 grandchildren with successful careers in education, healthcare, business, and public relations, in college and professional sports who are poised to continue the work of the foundation. Sadly, Judd passed away in January 2022, following a battle with COVID-19. He articulated his parents' lessons in his 2020 commencements addressed to the graduates of Ashland University. He emphasized the need to find and be a mentor in order to give light to others. Furthermore, he lived his motto of what he had, he gave, and what you keep is lost forever. The premier fundraising event of the foundation is its annual charity sports celebrity golf outing, dinner, and auction. Each year, the event has an honorary chair to help raise interest and awareness. Former chairs have included Buckeye head coaches Urban Meyer, Jim Tressel, and Earl Bruce, and two-time Heisman Trophy winner Archie Griffin, record-setting Mount Union football coach Larry Karras, sports analyst Todd Blackledge and Clark Kellogg, and other successful players and coaches from Kent State, Ohio State, and Ashland universities. They attempt to put a sports celebrity with each foursome so that the participants get to know a coach, a player, or Olympian. There are nearly 110 organizations to whom the foundation has paid forward. Some of the most notable include the YMCA, where Dick was on the board, a wide variety of North Canton sports and academic programs, Ashland City Schools and Ashland University, several Children's Hospital Foundation and wish-granting organizations, the James Cancer Hospital at Ohio State, food banks, Rotary organizations, and a wide variety of other deserving groups. The foundation is excited to be approaching $1 million in donations. The Logan Family Foundation has devoted itself in the 21st century to using their talents and connections to pay forward. It is with deep appreciation that the North Canton Alumni Association receives the Logan Family Foundation into its Hall of Distinction. Thank you.
I'm going to leave this underneath for you. Okay. That way you don't have to look at it instead of reading your thing. Okay, so it's right there on top. Congratulations. Thank you. Well, thank you very much. Good evening, everybody. My name is Jeff Logan, and as the senior male member of the family, I was encouraged to represent the family this evening, and I am honored to be here. Thanks to Jim Strauch and the North Canton Hoover Alumni Association. I was doing a little bit of math on the way up here today from Columbus, and if my math is correct, I think we've got 14 graduates of North Canton Hoover High School affiliated with the Logan family. Now, I'm sure there are families in this community that have many more siblings and kids and parents and everybody associated with that have been graduates of North Canton Hoover, but I can tell you what, we are extraordinarily proud of the 14 of us that have that recognition from Hoover High. So on behalf of the Logan Family Foundation and our family members that are here tonight, we certainly accept this recognition into the Hall of Distinction. And we do it with a great deal of gratitude and humility, and it makes our commitment even stronger to continue to provide funds to the community where we were raised. It's especially rewarding to be joining such a remarkable group of other people. I've read the bios. I know our family has done the same thing, and it's so impressive what everybody has done for their community, with their professions, and for their school. This Hall of Distinction group, as was read, includes two pretty cool people. First of all, my brother Judd, who, as we mentioned, is no longer with us, but Judd was a graduate that excelled in athletics, leadership, and coaching. And I will tell you that I don't think I've met a person who has had a bigger reach than Judd, a great impact on the lives of others. And of course, the lady that's responsible for it all, the matriarch of the family, the titular head, as we refer to her, was inducted into the Hall of Distinction
back in 1998 for her outstanding service to the YMCA and the Senior Citizens Program. Let's hear it for Gloria Logan. As you heard from the biographical information, the Logan Family Foundation was formed to coordinate individual efforts that we were all making with the capacity to be able to raise money and make a difference in other people's lives. And since we started this back in 2004, through our various efforts, but mostly because of our celebrity golf event, as was mentioned before, we have directed the funds from our sponsors, from our donors, from our participants, that we're going to hit $1 million in the communities that we were raised, which is in Stark County, the communities where we live today, which is in Ashland, Virginia, Central Ohio, and our goal is to continue to make a difference in everybody's lives. And we seek out charities that are unique and ones where our family members and our donors are actively involved. Examples of this you mentioned included the school backpack programs, the food pantry, the school meal support program, which we learned in Columbus, Ohio, through a variety of resources, that those meals for kids were a real problem, and then found out that the same thing existed in North Canton and Ashland. And we've tried to fund each of those programs to try and provide for those families and those children. In closing, I will say to you that we may have lost our father that night early in the morning after we beat that team up north. And we lost Judd, but their wisdom is living in our commitment to our communities to, number one, live a life of significance, be light givers and leaders by our actions. What we have, we give. What you save is lost forever. Thank you so much for this honor and this recognition, and go Vikings.
Congratulations once again to the Logan Family Foundation, and they have given to our community, and 14. You could form a team that way, right? Yep, I'm sure you've had those conversations. Who's playing what position, right? Yeah, good. But I think I know who the head coach would be. Excellent, very good. Well, this evening, it also for our second inductee, Olivia Padone will read our biography.
Martha Strauch Bell. Marty Bell has spent her lifetime doing what she urges others to do: continue to love and share and appreciate the arts. For that and for her efforts teaching students to love music, Mayor Matt Starr of Mount Vernon, Ohio has said, "Anybody who creates art makes the community that much more special." Marty was born to Bolton and Martha Strauch in Canton, Ohio. She is the youngest of 6 children to graduate from North Canton City Schools. She attended Portage Elementary School, where she was off to a great start with her first grade teacher, Mrs. Betty Bradshaw. 7th grade at the Portage Street Building, 8th and 9th at the junior high on Charlotte Street, and 8th in grades 10 through 12 at Hoover High. Marty spent much of her junior high and high school years involved in choir under directors Dorothy Define, Harrison Mason, and John Hayward, and studied piano under Charlotte Matthias. She performed in West Side Story, South Pacific, and Little Auburn at Hoover. She carried several of the traditions through Hoover choirs into her teaching career, including May Fiesta, The Way You Look Tonight, The Old Routine, and Bye Neighbor. She graduated in 1985. After graduation, Marty attended Bowling Green State University and graduated in 1989 with a degree in music education. She began her career as the middle and high school choir director at Highland Local Schools in Morrow County, where she remained for 10 years. In 1999, she took her talents to Mount Vernon City Schools, where she served as the middle and high school choir director for 22 years until her retirement in 2021. While there, she developed the Sounds of the Season, holiday music programs for students in grades 7 through 12, and May Fiesta for student soloists, ensembles, and choirs. Marty did not limit her efforts by focusing on the community's youth. She branched out to other performing arts opportunities in Knox County. She also been the director of Mount Vernon's Heritage Singers, a 14-voice a cappella group of adults since 2005. She facilitated in the Youth School for Mime Theater summer workshop at Kenyon College for 10 years. Additionally, she has performed with the Mount Vernon Players, Bruce Jacklin & Co., Right Brain Productions, and MTV Arts. In addition to developing a giving circle of 100+ women who care, who are dedicated to raising funds for local charities. Marty has received recognition for her work while working in her role at the Operation Board of Mount Vernon Music and Arts Festival in August 2021. She was surprised by Mayor Matt Starr, who presented her with the key to the city to honor her service to the community as an educator and an artist. It was the first time in a decade the honor had been bestowed. And additionally, she was honored by the local chapter of the Daughters of the American Revolution in March of 2022 for her service in the community. Marty is married to husband Joe, with whom she has 4 daughters, the Bell Ladybugs, Erin, Megan, Leslie, and Christine. They also have a granddaughter, Addison. Marty is a member of the Gay Street United Methodist Church, where she serves in the chancel choir as the children's choir accompanist. Marty enjoys travel, reading, and her community activities. Martha Strauch Bell's services tomorrow in Knox County is an extension of her upbringing in North Canton. She is a daughter of whom the city of North Canton can be proud. It is with much esteem that North Canton Alumni Association welcomes Martha Strauch Bell to the Hall of Distinction.
Good evening. You'd think 32 years of teaching would prepare you much better for public speaking, but it doesn't, so I'll just pretend you're a bunch of 6th graders, so most of you should behave all right. I am both humbled and honored to be up here this evening and to be listed alongside tonight's group and past honorees. Thank you to the nomination committee for this evening's celebration. Let me say that the nudge into the arts started at home, whether it was Dad waking us up on Sunday mornings to the loud stereo playing Sousa marches, or Mom listening from the kitchen with a keen ear, deciding whether, in fact, that was my piano lesson repertoire or not. Usually it was not. It was practicing for the choir numbers, but she was always there listening. North Canton City Schools was, and still is, as I keep track, a great place to be involved in the arts. My friend group mostly consisted of members from the choir, the band, the orchestra, the theater program, and the fine arts, some of which are here tonight. We were all well supported by the district, by our teachers, and by our family. Whether it was our first taste of this beautiful venue in 6th grade as we came together as a district for 6th grade choir concert, or whether it was our high school performances, the house was always filled, standing room only, from family and community alike, supporting the arts. I decided to pursue music education at Bowling Green State University and was well prepared. The lessons that I learned from Mrs. Define, from Mr. Harry Mason, from John Hayward, had prepared me very well musically. Let me also insert that college geology was a piece of cake due to Mr. Nisley. One of the two faculty that endured had taught all 6 Strauch kids. The other was Mr. Marchand in Latin, so semper ubi sub ubi, I guess, is what I remember. All right, as I transitioned into teaching, I brought with me nuances that I had learned here from Spring Sing, from choral repertoire that I had learned here, from traditions of May Fiesta. All those helped me form family and community for my students. The Bell family, my husband, our 4 daughters, have been involved, as Olivia shared, for the last 18 years with the Mount Vernon Music and Arts Festival. It's a 4-day celebration of the arts in the community: musical, visual, fine arts, and the culinary arts, which most of us would call food trucks. But it was a celebration, one weekend a year when the community comes together to celebrate and appreciate creativity. We're entertained, educated, and inspired by local and visiting artists. Whether we were watching the girls perform, setting up tables and tents, eating snow cones, or conversing with our friends, we were experiencing the cultural impacts of arts in our community, creating community by creating connections. The last 2 years of my teaching were during the lockdown of 2020 and the year following when we were trying to figure out the new normal. We were all stunned at first, and then what happened? The arts. You all saw during the all over social media. Porch concerts, virtual choirs, crafting at home. We looked to the arts to give us strength, to keep us connected, and to give us purpose and express what we were feeling. That's what the arts do. They bring us together and help us define who we are as people, as a community. We take what we have to offer, we share our talents, and find what we have in common. The arts help us understand our history, and they shape our future. Thank you, North Canton City Schools, for laying the groundwork in our students and supporting the arts. I believe our students and our future are in good hands. Thank you again.
I think tonight already you've been involved with Hoover High School and North Canton City Schools for a number of years. You know, we've often talked about academics, athletics, and the arts. And I think tonight already that we've represented all those groups. All of you represent the academics for sure. But we've also, the Logan family, so involved in athletics and the things that they've done, and the arts. And tonight you saw our high-lows. 3 of our folks tonight, our team that introduced, sang in that. You're seeing them again, and we're just real proud of the arts. And I'd like to introduce Ava Wadley, who is highly involved in our art program, who you may have seen perform on this stage if you've seen some musicals in the last several years. Ava Wadley.
Bina Mehta has had a lifelong goal to help people, not only through medicine, but diet, exercise, and positive lifestyle changes. As a result, she is a leading physician in reducing the reliance on opiates for pain management. Bina and her identical twin sister, Lena, were born in Saskatoon, Saskatchewan, to Indian parents and moved to North Canton when she was 3. And her father, a pathologist, was offered a visa and a position at Altman Hospital. The Metas chose North Canton Schools for their 4 children because of its stellar reputation. In 3rd grade, Bina became a U.S. citizen, and her entire Girl Scout troop attended the naturalization ceremony. While in high school, Bina was active in student council and choir, and especially the band. She loved Friday nights. She graduated in 1987. Both Bina and Lena attended Northeastern Medical University, known then as NEO-UCOM, to complete their Accelerated Bachelor of Science and Medical Doctor program. She completed her internship and residency in physical medicine and rehabilitation at Metro Health Medical Center, where she served as chief resident. After completing her residency, Bina started her own medical practice, Western Reserve Spine and Pain Institute in Kent, Ohio, with her partner, Dr. David Leone. From the beginning, it was an innovative practice. Dr. Leone, a chiropractor and acupuncturist, complemented her experience to create a multi-specialty group of healthcare providers whose goal was to treat the patient as a whole under one roof. They focus on helping patients minimize pain, maximize function, and reduce medication. This was especially innovative in 1998, considering the medical trend at the time to increase the use of opioids like OxyContin. In its 25 years, the Spine and Pain Institute has become one of the largest multi-specialty practices in the country. Regionally, the Institute manages non-surgical musculoskeletal services for the Cleveland Clinic Foundation at 8 locations. Additionally, Bina and her consulting company have worked with hospitals and private practices throughout the country. She is a clinical assistant professor at her alma mater, Northeastern Ohio Medical University, as well as Heritage Osteopathic Medical School at Ohio University. She is passionate about teaching others how to effectively treat pain. Bina has several publications to her credit. Bina is a fellow of the American Academy of Physical Medicine and Rehabilitation. She is a member of the American Association of Neuromuscular and Electrodiagnostic Medicine, the Ohio State Medical Association, and the American Academy of Pain Management. Bina currently lives in Chagrin Falls, Ohio, with her 3 children. She has 17-year-old twins, a fraternal brother and sister, and a 20-year-old daughter. She enjoys yoga, fitness training, traveling, playing the piano, and reading. Bina Mehta is a physician, innovator, entrepreneur, and educator who was ahead of her time in providing the best treatment to her patients and all of Northeast Ohio. The North Canton Alumni Association is pleased to have her as a recipient in its Hall of Distinction.
Good evening, everyone. I forgot my cheaters, so bear with me. Ava's speech about me was so good, I feel like I have nothing left to say. That was great. So good evening. Nice to see everybody here. The last time I was on this stage was when I was in my senior year for my choir concert, and never did I think 35 years later I'd be back here being inducted into the Hall of Distinction. Funny story before I talk about myself. I have a physician colleague who treats a patient that I went to high school with. And he told this physician partner of mine that I was getting inducted into the Hall of Fame. So when I saw my partner, he was like, "Oh my gosh, that's so cool. That's amazing. You must be so excited." And I said, "Yeah, I'm thrilled. What an honor." And he goes, "Yeah, that's really cool. What sport?" Boy, did I laugh. So my parents emigrated here from India in 1963 in order to provide a better life for their children. My father was a physician in India, but had to retrain all over again once he came to the United States. He was lucky enough to find a position in pathology at Metro Health Medical Center, which, full circle, 30 years later, I did my residency there. Fortunately or unfortunately, his visa wasn't renewed, so he had to quickly find a way to continue to practice medicine. So he was able to get a visa in Canada and drove my brother, sister, and my mom all the way to balmy Saskatoon, Saskatchewan, where it's colder than Siberia. My poor mother, she came from India, went to Cleveland and then Saskatchewan, and that's where my twin sister, Lena, and I were born. So a couple years later, he was finally able to secure a visa to come back to the United States, and he moved to North Canton, Ohio, where he worked at Altman Hospital for 25 years. And fun fact, he was chief deputy coroner of Stark County until he was 85, 6 years ago. So it was really interesting being the only Indian children at Hoover. You know, barring a couple little incidents, the community was extremely welcoming, and the school district was very welcoming. My mom was very active. She'd come to our class every year. She'd put the teacher in a sari, even the men sometimes. She'd give all the girls a bindi. Sometimes the boys wanted a bindi. And she always made this dessert, which I'm sure some of the people I went to high school with that are here would remember, right? The diamonds. She made this Indian dessert that she cut into diamonds, and she put real silver on it. So that was always a fan favorite, no longer in this age of nut allergies. So as mentioned by Ava, my twin and I became American citizens when we were in 1979, when we were 9 years old, and our whole Girl Scout troop came. Yes, we all got a citizenship badge, and kind of fun, the Canton Repository was there, and my mom found the article just a few weeks ago. There was an amazing picture of our Girl Scout troop, and I had a quote, and what I said was, "We are just like our friends now, and we are not aliens anymore." So back in the day, if you were an Indian child, there were only two really acceptable career paths. You could be an engineer, or you could be a physician. My older sister, Mona, broke the mold. She graduated from Hoover in 1976, and she is, I don't even know what she is because it's not medicine. I had to write it down. She is public health data specialist, and she's lived all over the world. She's been in many places throughout the world, probably the most interesting of the three of us. The other three of us became physicians. My brother, Sakadu, was in the Hoover class of 1977. He's a cardiologist in Arizona. My twin sister, Lena, is a nuclear radiologist at University Hospitals of Cleveland, and she's also Associate Dean of Admissions at the Case Western Reserve School of Medicine. And I am a physiatrist, not to be confused with a psychiatrist or a podiatrist. My specialty is known as physical medicine and rehab, and if you don't know what that means, you're not alone, because it's a pretty new specialty. We treat a wide variety of medical conditions affecting the brain, spinal cord, nerves, bones, joints, ligaments, muscles, and tendons. We evaluate and treat injuries, illnesses. We pay attention to disability and quality of life and how people's diseases are impacting the way that they live. Some conditions that physiatrists might treat would include patients with spinal cord injuries, brain injuries, work-related and sports injuries. I specialize in pain management. I treat primarily musculoskeletal conditions, and I specialize in the non-operative treatment of neck and back issues. So not a lot of exposure to physical medicine and rehab in the world, really, sadly, but especially in med school. But I was lucky enough when I was growing up that my mom had a friend in North Canton who was a physiatrist, and she was one of only several thousand in the country at the time. My mom had to have arthroscopic surgery, and after she had her surgery and did her post-op rehab, she just wasn't improving, and no one could tell her why. So she saw her friend, the physiatrist, and her friend figured out that there were some muscle imbalances throughout her kinetic chain in her left lower extremity, and she created this really specific exercise program for her, and it worked. And it was so cool. She was like a detective. And I thought, I want to do something like this. I want to figure stuff like this out as well. So grateful for her to introducing me to the field, and I've paid it forward. I've mentored her grandson, who's now in his first year of physical medicine and rehabilitation residency. So back when I was a PM&R resident in the mid-90s, pain management was not a very well-known specialty, but that all changed by the advent of a little white pill called OxyContin. And I was a resident just when OxyContin was coming out, and I will never forget the Purdue rep that was assigned to our hospital. Super charismatic, funny, nice guy, full of crap, told us, excuse my French, told us in so many different ways that OxyContin was less addicting than other pain medications, that it was safer for the elderly, and that chronic pain was undertreated, and that we needed to write more pain medications. And as we all know, sadly, we're still in this epidemic that all started back then. It was a bizarre, sad, just strange turn of events with the pharmacy companies, the government, and different pain management national groups across the country. It changed the paradigm for the way that pain management was practiced, and that was something that I knew I never wanted to do. So when I was finishing residency, I tried to look for a job where I didn't have to write those pain medications and where that didn't become a staple of what I needed to do, and couldn't really find anything. My dad saw an ad in a local magazine for a practice in Kent, and it was owned by Dr. David Leon, who's a chiropractor, and I cold called him. He told me about his vision of creating a practice that had alternative medicine and traditional medicine under one roof, because we all know chiropractors and medical doctors don't get along. So I thought, wow, that's a really innovative concept. So he and I, once I talked him into believing that he needed me, I joined up with him. We created a practice, and here we are 25 years later, still doing what we really love. We really had a hard time in practice for a while, because at that time, as I've just said, this opioid epidemic was just starting out. And the referring docs wanted to refer to physicians that would just write pain meds for their people or their patients, so they didn't have to hear about it again, and patients just wanted pain meds. So we stayed true to what we thought was right, a lot of lean years, but gradually we started gaining some momentum, started honing our craft, and in 2011, Akron General Medical Center approached our group and asked if we would provide pain management services for them. So we leased our practice to them, and within a few months of starting to work with the hospital, we rewrote the opioid policy And by the end of 1 year, there had been a 38% reduction in the prescription of opioids across the board. And we helped their physicians understand that there's a different way to practice pain. So 2014, the Cleveland Clinic bought Akron General, and we've been growing with them. We've gone from a little mom and pop operation to 12 medical providers, 10 locations, and we're still growing. So we're really thrilled with what we've been able to do. We're very interested in mentoring our future physicians, taking care of the people that are going to take care of us. So we spend a lot of time training medical residents, medical students. I spend a lot of time mentoring physicians and medical students that want to go into PM&R. I really believe that our group has helped set higher standards for how pain is managed in Northeastern Ohio, and we now consult nationally to different hospital groups and different pain groups to teach them how to create or revamp their pain programs. You know, I just feel so blessed every day that I get to take care of I could get all teary, that I get to take care of the wonderful patients that walk through my door. Ooh, I'm going to get teary. Sorry, my girls get really annoyed when I do that, and they're right there. So to love your job 25 years after you do it is such a gift. And to be recognized by North Canton Hoover and the Alumni Association for recognizing the passion and thinking this was worthy of being here tonight is just everything. So thank you all so much.
Another certainly highly successful graduate of Hoover High School who was in the choir. And does anybody know the fight song that wants to lead it tonight? No. Look at them, they're going like this. I did that at convocation with our staff a couple years ago, and they were fired up. We had at least 6 up on the stage leading it, and it was a great success. It could have bombed just like it did now, but it was it seemed like a good idea at the time. So it worked, and we just have such a proud group of alumni who are proud to be Vikings and proud of that fight song. And it's not a great art piece for choirs and so on, but it certainly shares pride and shows the pride that our kids and our alumni and our community has in our schools. Next up, we have Joelle Morgan.
According to a leader in the industry and his former boss, Kyle Putinski is a genuine treasure in the social and services sector, living the work with every cell of his being. Kyle was born February 25, 1984, to Michael and Linda Putinski. He attended North Canton schools and graduated from Hoover High School in 2003. While a teen, he earned the rank of Eagle Scout. After graduation, he attended the University of Akron, where he majored in history and education. He worked briefly as a substitute teacher in the Copley Fairlawn schools before branching out to his work in social services. His work has primarily focused on supporting the socio-emotional and educational needs of children and the struggles of families in generational poverty. He has served as a job training specialist, a community relations representative for Goodwill Industries of Akron, and created a GED curriculum for Getting Ahead. He has several responsibilities for the United Way of Summit County and the United Way of Wayne and Holmes counties, including the popular Bridges Out of Poverty workshops and the Wayne County Opiate Task Force. In 2018, he became the Regional Director of Community Engagement for the Educational Empowerment Group, and in 2020, he became the Executive Director of Big Brothers Big Sisters of Summit, Medina, and Stark counties. This organization serves over 350 children aged 6 through 18. Kyle not only works with people in poverty, but looks at poverty from a systemic standpoint, addressing not only the needs of children, but of the whole community. Kyle has been active in the community in other ways as well. He is a founding member of the Summit County Mentoring Collaborative. He has many community connections, such as the Akron Rotary and the Summit County Clerk of Courts, who is a Big Brothers Big Sisters supporter. He was an ally in Summit County circles from 2016 through 18 and is currently on the Give It Away team of Grace Church's Bath campus. Kyle has been honored for his service. In 2021, he was named one of 30 for the future by the Greater Akron Chamber. He is a graduate of Leadership Worcester in 2016 and the first class of Big Brothers Big Sisters of America Leadership Institute as of this year. Kyle and his wife Emily live in Copley and have 3 sons, Owen, Noah, and Luke. He enjoys powerlifting, reading, camping, home improvements, and going to amusement parks with his family. Kyle Putinski has been an asset to the Northeast Ohio community. The North Canton Alumni Association is pleased to have him as a recipient in its Hall of Distinction.
All right, well, hey, thanks for having me up here today, family, friends, and also Mr. Wilson's video productions class. I remember when I was up there in high school, so thanks for videotaping this. So, my name's Kyle. When I was 15 years old and you said I was going to be in the Hall of Distinction, I'd be like, no way, you got to be kidding me. And now I'm up here. So, I guess to quote the great philosopher Strauch, I started from the bottom and now I'm here. That was a joke. It's okay. So I want to thank the North Canton Alumni Association, Jim Strauch, and it's a huge honor to be here. But I really can't. The person I want to just thank the most is my rock. And she has sacrificed so much for me to get to where I'm at today. I wouldn't be anything without her, and that's my wife, Emily Putinski. She has sacrificed. She has sacrificed. She has been here, and she's just guided me along the way. I also want to thank my parents, Mike and Linda Putinski. They raised me right, and it's just so nice to be back. Also, my boys, Owen, Noah, and Luke. Yeah, buddies, we're here. There you are. Thanks for coming today. I appreciate y'all. So growing up in North Canton, I went to Northwood Elementary School, and then I went to North Canton Middle School, and then I ended up at Hoover High School. And I remember being in the DARE program, and I got awarded the DARE Public Speaking Award. And I remember my DARE officers right here when I was at Northwood. And I remember being terrified public speaking when I was a little kid, and now I have to do it literally every day of my life. And that really kind of set the stage where in my life I like to try to do hard things and solve hard problems. So, I just get out there and work at it every day, show up, and try to make a difference in the community. So what I do at Big Brothers and Big Sisters is we create and support one-to-one mentoring relationships for youth. And right now, youth are going through it. Kids all over the place. And I see it every day. And what I just ask is, if we could do for one kid what we could do for every kid, wow, what would this community look like in the future? So I just want to say thank you. This is an incredible honor, and I appreciate it. Thanks again.
Something that is on my mind and the administration's mind and our principal's mind quite often is staffing. And I'm sure those of you that are working and in charge of a staff that you need folks to work, right? And I heard a couple things tonight. I heard somebody was a substitute teacher previously, and I know of a recent retiree from teaching. If you want to go back to subbing, call me. We can work something out. Any of you, if you want to substitute teach, let me know. Great kids, great families in North Canton, so it's a great job. Let me know. But in all seriousness, we're bringing the DARE program back. It took a hiatus for a number of years in most schools in Ohio, but it's coming back actually maybe this year partly, but next year. And it's coming back because we have a relationship with North Canton City Police Department and the City of North Canton. And our school resource officer is going back to get trained. In fact, I think it was there this week. And to get trained as a DARE officer. We're bringing it back to be able to be taught in a program with our wellness class at our middle school in 7th grade. So we're going to have that back. But United Way and your ties to United Way are certainly critical in our district too, and many districts in Stark County, as well as Summit and the other counties you work in, through our care teams. We have care teams that help us connect families and kids in need to other community resources that we don't normally provide, but we know they need help because we just know because of either teacher referral, guidance referral, or other. And so we try to help families and kids get connected with community agencies that might be able to help them in ways to make life better, to help students learn at higher levels. And there's lots of different things going on in the world, but we appreciate our partnership with United Way. I know what you're doing at United Way is critical, and also big brothers and big sisters, so thank you. Yeah, thank you. So no fight song. Okay, all right. Our final reader tonight, Emma Curd.
With roots in North Canton's earliest history, Handy B. Wolf served his nation, his community, and his students admirably. Handy was born in 1924 in his childhood home on 6th Street in North Canton to Grover and Lillian Wolf. Grover was a disabled World War I veteran, and Lillian worked for Boss Hoover at the Hoover Company. The Wolf family settled in New Berlin in the early 1800s. Handy's grandfather established the town print shop, and both his father and uncle served in North Canton's government. Handy attended the Portage Street School and Noka High. In addition to serving on student council and performing in the choir and senior play, he was a standout athlete at Noka High. He was a 3-year letterman in football and basketball with all-county and all-district awards. And he met his wife, Marilyn, in the 9th grade. Handy graduated in 1942. World War II interrupted Handy's college career. He, along with all 3 of his siblings, served in the military. He went to basic training in 1943 and became a member of the 86th 6th Black Hawk Infantry Division in Patton's 3rd Army in France, Belgium, and Germany. He was awarded the Purple Heart, the Bronze Star, his Combat Infantry Badge, and a European Theater Ribbon. After returning from the war, Handy earned his Bachelor of Science in Education from Muskingum College in 1948. He began his teaching career as a science teacher at Jefferson High School in Dresden, Ohio, but quickly moved to New Concord High School, where he taught science, was the head coach for basketball and baseball, and an assistant football coach, and lived in John Glenn's childhood home. In 1957, Handy moved home and took a job at Glenwood High School. He earned his Master's of Education from Kent State University in 1960. Handy spent 21 years as an administrator in the Plain local schools. He began as an assistant principal at Glenwood High School before becoming principal of Glenwood High School, Oakwood High School, and eventually oversaw the combination of the two into Glen Oak. Handy was a 48-year supporter of Plain local schools where he worked on operating levies, bond issues, scholarships, and coordinated student activities with community groups like the Elks, Rotary Club, and American Legion. He retired in 1981. Handy was equally involved in the North Canton community. He was an active member and president of the Rotary Club and an active member of the Hoover Lodge number 770, the Tadmore Shrine, the North Canton Elks Lodge, and the North Canton Booster Club. He was an active supporter of his children's and grandchildren's activities in the North Canton schools. He was a lifetime member of the North Canton Alumni Association. He served the larger community as a lifetime member, secretary, treasurer, and president of the McKinley chapter of Phi Delta Kappa. He was a 21-year member of the Stark County and Federal Athletic Leagues. He was a life member and 32nd degree Mason and a charter member of the Lions Club. For a lifetime that speaks volumes about his character and contribution, Handy has received honors and recognition. He received the Paul Harris Fellow Award by Rotary International for furthering positive relations, in addition to the Arden Basinger Award for the North Canton Rotary for his work supporting Polio Plus, a global immunization effort. He received the Captain Award for Distinguished Service to Education in 1981. In 2005, he was inducted into the Plain Local Alumni Hall of Distinction, and in 2011, he was inducted into the John Glenn High School Athlete Hall of Fame. He's been recognized for support by the Plain Local Food Service Restaurant Co-op, VICA, DECA, Future Farmers of America, and the Plain Local Choir and Band. He received a congratulatory citation from the Stark County Board of Education. Handy and his wife Marilyn were married for 67 years. Their sons Tim and Thomas graduated from Hoover High School in 1969 and 1971. Their 4 grandchildren attended North Canton schools, and they had 6 great-grandchildren. Handy's first church was Community Christian in North Canton, where Boss Hoover was his Sunday school teacher. He and Marilyn were married in Trinity Lutheran Church in Canton and attended there beginning in 1957. Handy served on church council and as a Sunday school teacher. Handy died in 2013. Prior to his death, he continued to be an active supporter and attendee of school functions. He also loved to golf, travel, and work with photography. Handy B. Wolf's diligent efforts in serving the children of our community are a tribute to his character. It is with great satisfaction that the North Canton Alumni Association welcomes him into its Hall of Distinction.
We're going to take you back in time with some visuals of what Emma did a great job with her introduction. Hello, everyone. My name's Tim Wolf, and I'm the eldest son of Handy B. Wolf, accepting this award on his behalf. If Handy were here today, he would be humbled and honored and thanking all of the committee members. This portrait that you see above was taken celebrating his 30-plus years of service and education as a teacher, coach, administrator, parent, and grandparent. I guess I do this, right? Taking you back in history, here's the early map of our village, originally called New Berlin. As most of you know, what it looked like in the early days, Handy's great-grandfather, George, and my great-grandmother, Mary, were among the first settlers from Germany into what was known as Plain Township back then. George and Mary birthed and raised their children there, one of whom was named George Washington Wolf, which was Handy's grandfather, and he was born in 1855. This George also married a woman named Mary, and he purchased one of the new plots in New Berlin to raise his family and run his business as a plasterer and the village printer. George Washington Wolf and Mary had 4 children, Grover, Orrin, and Lauren, one of whom would become the mayor of North Canton, and Eva. Grover is seen here as a member of his beloved New Berlin baseball team, and he would become Handy's father. After attending the Portage School along with his siblings, Grover followed in his father's footsteps as a plasterer and a painter, which led him to do some work for William H. Boss Hoover at the Hoover Suction Sweeper Company. Sitting among what was called the office girls was a cheerful young lady whose family also came from Germany to the Plain Township. Grover Wolf took a very long time plastering and painting those offices, and a budding relationship began with Lillian Schroep in those years. That's my grandmother's Hoover employee badge up there in the top as she worked in the World War I war effort, and Grover went off to serve in the military with many other men from New Berlin. In 1918, New Berlin became North Canton. The same year my grandparents, Grover and Lillian, were married. Boss Hoover financed quite a few plots back then and homes in North Canton, many for his employees, and he enabled my grandparents to move into one of those homes a few blocks from the company. As shown by this receipt at the top, they eventually paid Mr. Hoover $3,000 for this home, and it's still around the corner from us on 6th Street. They lived there with the family for 80 years. Handy was actually born there, and he had seen her with his older brother and sister. Here's Grover Charles, called Pete, Elaine, Handy on the bench in the wagon beside his younger brother Tom, and the goat whose name we don't know. All of Handy's siblings attended Portage Street School, and also the Sunday school class taught by Boss Hoover on Main Street. The values and traditions of the families of New Berlin actually shaped the foundation of North Canton and the community, and it's carried over into the classrooms and even today. Handy constantly spoke highly of his teachers and coaches at Noka High, the building on Charlotte Street, where he excelled academically and athletically. He especially would talk about Ray Swope and H. Wayne Russell, two of the North Canton Hall of Distinguished Citizens, and how they greatly influenced his career path. Handy also discussed other positive influences during his Noka High years, which included a beautiful girl in his freshman class named Marilyn Muse. She was a cheerleader, and they graduated together as North Canton Vikings in 1942. Marilyn headed to Altman School of Nursing, and Handy went to college to discover what God's path would have for him. Handy's college life, like everyone else in North Canton, was interrupted by World War II as entire families served our country. Handy is on the left, serving in the Army. Elaine is an Army nurse. Pete is in the Army also, and Grover. Handy's dad is wearing his World War I uniform in support of the children headed to war. Handy's mother, Lillian, continues to work with the Hoover Company in support of World War II. Handy's youngest brother, Tom, not pictured, also served as an Army dentist. A part of my father's life he did not talk about until he was much older was how he was the only one in his squad at the Battle of the Bulge who survived a shelling of German artillery into their machine gun post. Handy detailed the memories of the Red Cross tossing his body on top of an Army Jeep as he told God that if he survived, he would dedicate his life's work to helping youth. By God's grace, he survived, and Handy worked hard to be a popular science teacher and a willing coach. After he and Marilyn were married and lived in the upstairs of Glenn's home, a very special little boy, me, Handy was again influenced by his North Canton mentors of Ray Swope and H.W. Russell, who encouraged him to take a job at the newly formed Glenwood High School in the Wolf family ancestry area of Plain Township. Handy was a dedicated educator in every sense of the word as he moved into administration and was the main impetus to combining Glenwood and Oakwood into Glen Oak High School for the Plain local schools. Handy and Marilyn wanted their children, me and my younger brother Tom, to go through the North Canton school system, so they bought a home on Everhard Road where they lived for 40 years. My brother and I were fortunate to also benefit from the outstanding teachers and coaches at North Canton, and we both graduated from Hoover. Continuing the tradition made Handy especially proud when all 4 of his grandchildren started school at the Portage Street School, where 5 generations of Wolfs in New Berlin and North Canton had begun. Brady, Drew, Stacy, and Trent Wolf are pictured here with their grandfather, Handy, in front of the Mary L. Evans Kindergarten Center at Portage. His granddaughter became a nurse like Grandma Marilyn, and the grandsons pursued higher education, with one getting a doctoral degree in leadership and education and masters in educational technology. Handy continued to serve his community in various organizations, charities, and churches, such as president of the North Canton Rotary, North Canton Booster Club, past Grand Master of a Lodge, member of Church Council, president of Phi Delta Kappa, and many other endeavors of support. He was a generous man who consistently donated to the organizations he said saved his life, such as the Red Cross and Salvation Army, and he donated to his grandchildren's future as much as he could. Thank you to the North Canton Schools Media Department for enabling us to show the visuals tonight. Thank you to everyone who is involved in the North Canton Schools and these recognitions. It was much appreciated. As I conclude the trip down memory lane of New Berlin, North Canton, and the Hoover Vikings with the Wolf family for over 150 years, I share with you one of my dad's favorite quotes: "Only a life lived in the service to others is a life worth living." Thank you, Dad, Grandpa Handy, for being a good, faithful servant, and thank you, everyone, for this distinction for Handy B. Wolf.
Well, before Jim comes up to give closing comments, I wanted to just make a note. I've heard and seen in our inductees' speeches tonight, in their bios and so on, I believe the Logan family closed with a comment about What we have, we can't take with us. And life of service, I forget the quote exactly, but it was about giving, right? It was about giving, and so does this, and so does teaching, and so does United Way and Big Brothers and Big Sisters, and so do everything else that we have, certainly in service in our medical field. So really proud of our Hoover graduates, especially our inductees tonight. And I think you'll find that we would love to get our seniors involved in this somehow, to see you guys particularly, to get our students involved so they can see what past graduates have done. So we're working on that. We might come up with some plans to get them at these programs. But thank you for what you've done for your communities, for our families, for our kids, and certainly for Hoover High School as you went out in the world and represented. In closing, Mr. Jim Strauch.
Sure, please. Or just back to the beginning. Please join me in thanking Jeff Wendorf for his excellent job as Master of Ceremonies tonight. Thank you, Mr. Wendorf, and congratulations again to tonight's Hall of Distinction class of 2022. We invite you to proceed to the Commons for some light refreshments. Please exit at the rear of the hall and make 2 rights and head back to the Commons. Thank you all for joining us this evening, and we look forward to seeing you again next year. Good night.